Good afternoon. How is everyone doing today? It is currently January the 14th, Tuesday, and we've got a pretty decent update in today's video as we are going to have this next Arctic blast that is going to begin to propagate down here to the lower 48 coming up over the next couple of days. Really, we're going to push this all the way in time frame to about the 18th coming up here, and you'll notice this is really when that Arctic blast, that Siberian air, gets unleashed from Canada, and that's when we're going to start seeing these below zero temperatures propagate down to the North Dakota area, South Dakota areas, and freezing temperatures at this point, all the way as far south as Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas at this point. And we keep pushing this in time frame here, and you'll notice really it's not really until January the 21st is when much of the United States is going to be below freezing at this point. You know, we're talking, like I said, Utah, Colorado, some models picking up Arizona around, 7 degrees. Obviously, that's in the higher terrain and elevation, but 28 degrees potentially down in Houston, 21 degrees in Dallas, Fort Worth, 11 degrees up here in the Amarillo area. If you're in Florida, you're still looking pretty good at this point, but these temperatures are going to vary. They're going to fluctuate throughout the different model runs as we get closer, but this is going to be our latest and greatest information that we have as of right now with at least the GFS model. It's been definitely a little more bullish than a lot of other models. It wants to bring a lot more cold air a lot further south and a lot more prolonged. This is going to be January the 23rd now, and I mean, you can see just, widespread. Some models picking up on 8 degrees in central Texas. Mind you, these aren't the wind chills. These are actual temperatures. So all these numbers you're seeing are not even wind chill factors. Factor wind chills, and you're talking, below zero potentially in parts of Texas. I mean, this would definitely do some damage to the infrastructure. 20 is pretty much throughout the whole entire United States, and we can push this forward through the rest of the January. And we get a little bit warm up in the south, and this cold Arctic air, really, if you're up north here, it just locks in. It's not going anywhere through the whole month of January. So y'all are going to be potentially below freezing for the rest of the month of January. You might get a day that kind of creeps above freezing, but other than that, it's going to be just non-stop frigid temperatures as far as what the GFS model is seeing. Alrighty, now jumping over to our Euro model, the main difference between the Euro and the GFS model is that the GFS wants to bring this cold Arctic air a little bit quicker than a lot of other models do, including the Euro. And that's going to make all the difference in who sees snow, how much ice. Because right now, at least with the terms of snow and ice, the GFS is just going absolutely ballistic right now. And you'll notice what I mean. This is going to be the Euro. We're going to take this to about January the 18th, right? If we go back and look at the GFS model on January the 18th, you'll notice this has a little bit warmer temperatures. The cold Arctic air is not as far south as it was on the GFS at this time that we just took a look at, and we can continue pushing the time frame around the 21st, which is, between this next Monday and Tuesday, I think are going to be the coldest 2 days out of all the days to come. And you'll notice January the 1st, it's definitely got cold temperatures, but it doesn't have like that very, very cold Arctic air all the way south just yet. It does, but it doesn't. It's not as bullish. It's a little bit warmer, and it's a little bit slower of a trend. Not much, but just a little bit. But even that little pivot within these models, like I said, is going to make a big difference in trying to forecast this. And this is why when it comes to forecasting winter storms and temperatures and stuff like that, and really trying to get down to a specific area and time frame is very complicated and very hard because there's so many variables that can just, 1 degree change makes a huge difference. And we continue to push this forward in time. You'll notice, we've kind of get some days going into the 23rd. Some areas, that wants to put down 5 degrees in Mississippi, right? And we got to take this with a grain of salt because every little movement is going to make a big difference. At least until we get down to the last 24 hours, that's when we'll begin to micromanage the situation and say, okay, this is what the latest high resolution models are showing now, because now we're on that high resolution. We're not that medium or long-term data at this point. But this is kind of what these two models are hinting at the moment. Alrighty, now another one we can look at is the GEFS ensemble members. And like I said, instead of looking at, 1 or 2 or 3 or even 4 individual model runs and trying to compare them, we can kind of take the GEFS ensembles and compare the mean between all models and all runs and see what our average is. And this kind of gives us our most likely outcome, right? It's not the outcome that, is going to bring absolutely nothing, but it's also not going to be like the GFS where it just drops, a foot of snow in Louisiana. It shows us the mean average of what we could possibly see. And this is a good point when you're forecasting very far out, more than 7 days away at this point, or 5 days away or 4 days away. This is a good model to look at, and this gives us our average. And as we go into January the 18th, around 12Z time frame, you'll see Arctic air now just reaching the panhandle of Amarillo, 31 degrees, in the mid to upper 20s in Kansas, and then obviously below zero in the Dakotas. We continue to push this forward in time frame. Let's go all the way down to the 21st, right, which is supposed to be the coldest time frame as of right now for this Arctic air. And you'll notice it's, like I said, it's a lot less bullish and a lot less harsh as the Euro and the GFS. But if we look at the similarities between both of the models we just looked at, it's definitely leaning, like I said, towards the Euro model. You know, it's not as potent as the GFS, not saying that the GFS is not onto something, that it's not possible, but this is our most likely outcome. All right. You know, we're led by this time, the 21st, 12 degrees in Amarillo, respectively. Dallas in the 20s, 26 in Dallas, DFW area, Wichita Falls, 20 degrees, potentially bringing that freezing line all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Florida, I'm sorry, y'all. If you're in the tip of Florida Keys, y'all are still going to be baking out there, 73 degrees. Just go enjoy the water. Go enjoy it while you can. And all the way back up here in the Dakotas, still below freezing. We continue to push this in time frame. It stays really in the 20 and 30s. It doesn't really start getting above freezing in the south, in Texas at least, in the DFW area, points east along across the lower 48 until about, I want to say, let's go take this back in time frame here. About the 23rd, at least with the ensemble members. And then it kind of heats up from there and then keeps all that Arctic air suppressed back up towards Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas, out towards the Great Lakes, all the way through Virginia, Indiana, Kentucky, those areas. So with that being said, this is going to kind of be our mean. This is going to be our average. So we can look at each individual model. We're going to kind of continue to look at that average. And let's go ahead and jump over and kind of see what our snow totals are looking like. All right, beginning with the GFS model, like I said, this has always been a little more bullish when it comes to snow total falls, but it's been doing pretty decent lately, but it's going to continue to fluctuate until we really get to that day 1 and day 2 time frame. Just the past couple model runs has made all the difference. This is going to be the latest model run, the 12Z GFS, and you'll notice pretty much, a pretty good swath on the lower 48 from West Texas, picking up on potentially anywhere between 8 inches to a foot of snow, going all the way through central Texas, potentially almost all the way down between Austin and DFW area. A good swath of 8 to 10 inches going all the way in Louisiana with about half a foot, going in through Mississippi, Alabama, all the way up to the Carolinas with well over a foot up here. Like I said, this is going to change because it's still so far out, and the GFS likes to paint these crazy pictures. If we go back, right, just to the 6Z, this is going to be the 6Z, just the previous model run before the 12Z, and you'll notice how much of a difference. It's a lot further south. They want to, paint over 20 inches, 22 inches of snow in Louisiana and Alabama. Blizzard conditions down here. So like I said, there's still a little bit uncertainty, to say the least. So don't let anyone come on here and show you one model run and say this is what's happening, because it's not set in stone by any means. Alrighty, now jumping over to our Euro model. This is going to be our 12Z Euro, and it shows something similar to the GFS. The latest run wants to have totals a little bit higher and a lot further south. All right, and it's interesting to see this because the last previous model run, the GFS wanted to propagate the cold Arctic air a little bit faster, and the Euro's kind of lagging behind on that cold Arctic air, so it's also going to depend on when that moisture plume gets there as well. I think as of right now, where we stand, I think that it's going to be lagging behind just a bit. So I think some of these totals might be a little bit further north. I'm not buying the southern snowstorm just yet, but it's definitely a possibility. This latest model run, like I said, close to a foot near Houston, going up to Louisiana, close to a foot. So, I mean, if these models do continue to trend with this southern snowstorm like this, and these temperatures getting down here when the moisture meets down here, if they keep trending like that over the next 24 to 48 hours, I think at that point, that's when we need to start being concerned. To me, it's not a major concern just yet. I'm not sounding the alarms just yet. I need at least another 24 to 48 hours before, we really can come out and say, okay, let's start preparing for this. It's happening. It's definitely going to happen. And going back to our GEFS ensemble members, our most likely outcome, most likely it could be higher, it could be lower, right? But this is going to be our ensembles, all models kind of putting together and giving us our average mean of what a more realistic outlook could be. A good swath of 2 inches in Texas, 3 inches closer down to the coast, a little spot picking up on 4 inches almost near not Texarkana, but the kind of Shreveport area. And like I said, a good swath of 1 inch pretty much in Mississippi, going all the way up to the Carolinas, a couple inches, all the way up to 4 to 5 inches almost. So, you know, even though these totals aren't completely high, once you start seeing once you start seeing anything in the ensemble members, which gives you the mean, the average, it's pretty accurate. And for us to see, you know, areas of 3 to 4 inches pretty much, and the Texas area, Central Texas, that's a pretty good signal that's saying, hey, someone down here in Texas is going to at least see some type of accumulating snow. Now, it might not be that foot. It might not be that 20 inches that some people might want to see. At least I don't want to see that much down here. That's a little bit too much. But, you know, it's a good signal that someone's going to see something down here probably. Where's it going to be? How much is it going to be is still to be decided. You know, give it about another 24 to 48 hours. In the next video I make, I think we'll have a pretty good, realistic idea of where things are going to be. But that's going to conclude it for today's video, guys. Just wanted to give you a quick update on what the models are showing and what their latest and greatest information has to provide and what I think is going to happen as of right now. So like I said, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and like button. It's free. It helps out the channel a ton. Don't forget to turn on bell notifications after you do subscribe, so that way you get alerted every time I drop a video like this one. And like I said, if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them below. I'll be curious to see where y'all live at, what location gets the most snow. Send in some pictures. Like, let me know. You know, I want to be able to communicate with y'all and definitely stay up to date with y'all and know exactly what's going on and be able to help y'all as much as I possibly can. So with that being said, I appreciate it. Thank you for the support, guys. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.